seventh Dazed and Diffused event.
$2.2 billion unicorn that's actually taking over Gen AI and enterprise.
Look, there was Gemini Gate this week. Hey, welcome to This Week in AI, Draw.
Good morning, Yash. Where are you now?
I am in Sydney. I've just flew in from Melbourne yesterday. We've had quite a few events, so that's what's keeping me busy, but it's been exciting.
Why don't you tell me and the audience what happened in Melbourne?
Oh, Melbourne. We had I think it was our seventh Dazed and Diffused event. Big shout out to Tim and the Time Under Tension crew. Look, we started this about a year ago, so it was really interesting to see. It was all around generative AI. Been a lot of interest. So we had, probably about 150 odd people on a wait list. And so it's showing me there's a real demand for people wanting to learn about where we're going. And, the event, basically, we have some early stage companies come and pitch. We had some really interesting companies. We had Fiona from Heatseeker, which is an early stage company using AI to growth hack. And, they come from two female founders, have a great little product that's about growth hacking. And they're using their experience and using AI to multiply the impact they can have and do it at scale. Really interesting. We had another group from a group called Innovate GPT, showcasing AI-driven businesses they're supporting. They have a business that backs people, essentially scaling using AI. And so we're seeing both on the product and services side. So Grant from Verbalate had a great video product, which really takes video translation, multiple languages, lip syncing that. It was pretty cool. You could see Putin speak in Mandarin, or you could see just all really interesting things that they could do with that, and some really great use cases. And then we had another founder, Indigo, who previously had a business called Useful Bird, who's pivoted that business. And he really had an interesting conversation about tailoring models, tailoring smaller models, or, taking, open source models and customizing them, and the power of doing that. And look, I think there's some really great things happening in the Australian ecosystem. And, topping all of that, we also had a pretty cool AI Infinite TV. And this is pretty cool. We have that running in the background. It essentially is AI generated images and videos, real time, just playing in a loop. It's a bit kind of freaky as well, but yeah, you should check it out.
It's a loop of AI generated content?
Correct. Images, videos.
Just because we can, or what's who's using what do you do with it?
I don't know. It has some music. You can just see it just sits in the background, and so that was playing.
Okay.
I kind of like it. Okay,
it's like watching. It's like when you're in a bar and there's like the sports.
Exactly.
There's some AI generated going in the background.
But if you look at it, it's quite captivating. You end up just sort of watching it. It feels pretty natural.
It's a type of wallpaper. It's the new wallpaper. Cool. I really like those events. I think that's exactly what the community is basically all about, right?
I think it's great to see that in Australia, we're going to create our own businesses that are unique in this space as well. And you're starting to see that. And it probably is worthwhile mentioning as well. So another bit of news this week was around the AI Builders Club. So big shout out to Annie Lau from Aura and Builders Club. They're building a residency. And so they've launched a GoFundMe.
So what is a residency exactly? What does that mean? So it's like an artist residency? You get to be funded by someone, by them? Or?
So exactly. They're going to have a AI residency program. So they're going to have 10 people and giving them a dedicated place to sort of focus on building. I keep seeing more and more founders that are coming out of there. There's quite a number of startups that are coming out of there, people. But it's great to have support in a group and community. And once again, that shows the Australian ecosystem is building. Yeah, I think it's a great initiative. I think everyone should get behind it that's in this community. There's a dedicated physical space.
I love the club. It was the first event that I was after COVID, one of those meetings. Events during the COVID years everyone was like afraid of each other. It was never packed. It was like, this was a completely different game. I was like, okay, we're back in business. So, shout out, well done for Anna and her team. This is a great community.
Yeah, and 600 plus builders, 3,000 members in there. So it's getting bigger. It's great.
And, when you're building, I'm building these days as well. When you're building, you need to hang up with people who are building. You find your future co-founder like that.
No, I that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing lots of people who are getting energy from each other, ideas from each other, people combining forces. I think the best is yet to come. It's still people are working out what they're trying to do. What else is news this week? There was Gemini Gate this week. Google had generated some images that weren't quite appropriate. They're apologizing about it. I think there's been enough said about it. It's a bit embarrassing. I think they've got to learn as we see.
The fact that Google did some inappropriate image generations, that's going to be water under the bridge quicker than we even notice. OpenAI had their share of controversy about how many characters does AI give you if you ask it about Joe Biden versus Trump or whatever.
Yeah.
These are things, that is the early stages of, everybody gets attention if they manage to get the system to do something funny. These things get to be exponentially smarter and better over time, and also public interest in that nonsense moves on. People start doing more productive things. So, the fact that Google did some funny pictures of 17th century physicists that looked Indian and Native Americans, that's... okay, let's move on. Doesn't mean that it's going to fail. I mean, it's like reading all those articles in the 2010s about how Facebook is so bad and then Facebook gets wrong. It's the classic, the media needs to get attention by poo-pooing someone else.
We also see, OpenAI is accusing New York Times of hacking, their sort of chatbots.
I absolutely believe that in the OpenAI case against New York Times, OpenAI is going to, come first. That's extremely easy to actually hacking chatbots in order to force it to produce copyright infringements. And in a way, that's definitely not. That makes it non-copyright infringement. Let's see.
We have that sort of finance company, Klarna. Look, they're a big AI proponent. They're claiming that their AI assistant does the work of 700 people. Obviously, they're applying that their chatbots are providing value. We're seeing this more and more. And in fact, I had a talk at an event last week. One of the interesting things is someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm doing all my support now with a voice assistant. They're calling everyone, doing all the support." So I tried it out. I called it up. It was all right. It was pretty good. It had Australian accent, which was great for here. However, it was good generally until I said, "Are you a bot?" And it said, "How can I help you?" Kind of went into a bit of a loop. And then I said, "Are you human?" I thought maybe it didn't want to answer that. So it's, "How can I help you?"
So it was a bot?
It was a bot.
Does it identify as a bot?
No, I'm hearing more and more people looking at, people are under the pump. They're under pressure to reduce costs on various fronts. And I think this will eventually be pretty viable. It is viable now, but I think it's not quite there. But and you're seeing in the US, you have to it's illegal to do that in particular circumstances. So.
In terms of like companies that are able to use AI to reduce costs or something, the Uber narrative is like the fear-mongering. AI is replacing jobs. We're going to take away. I just don't buy it. Maybe I would be quoted wrong in a few years when AGI comes and makes literally everyone redundant. But until then, it has proven historically that whenever there's a product tool that improves productivity, people get more busy as opposed to less busy.
I met with a lot of different VCs at a different point this week. And there was a big discussion talking about AI. We had two schools of thought. Some people were saying this is overhyped and this is going to take a lot longer to get into that corporate space particularly. And look, we can understand that some of these technologies do take time to get into and I'm talking about corporate, not at that sort of end user point. Half of the people that were discussing this were really talking about it's not going to be adopted quickly in some of these environments and that they're saying it's too hyped. And then I had the other half of the room talking about the massive opportunity and the disruption that was going ahead. And so some people I felt were talking about this and saying, "Oh, we don't need to worry about this now. This is this isn't going to be adopted across the board," and putting their head in the sand and it's too hard because it's too hard and they don't want to think about those things. And so this is once again another disruptive time where it's evoking emotion. It's causing this sort of this is too much and putting your head in that sand. But I personally feel this is not an option. We have to be looking at how we do experiments, how large and small companies can leverage this. We're getting smaller and smaller companies doing bigger and bigger things, and that's what's possible. To me, if you're a startup, and this is some discussions I had yesterday with a group of startups, this is also about how you build efficiency within your own company. So startups, even AI startups, need to be using that within their business to be better. And I think this is something we all need to be doing, whether it be us as a VC or any company. So there's a great opportunity, but I think it is evoking a lot of emotion.
So have you heard of Glean?
I have actually, but you tell me all about it.
Well done. So, don't hear a lot of news about them, but it's like, it just happened to be a $2.2 billion unicorn that's actually taking over Gen AI and the enterprise. So he's a great example of real businesses that sells real products to real customers. What's interesting here is that they raised 100 million already in 22, which is before the big launch of OpenAI. And now they just closed another 200 from Series D. It's an example of basically what it is. It's ChatGPT for your enterprise. All your enterprise data that you can search, you can analyze, etc. Which is again, it's the idea of like, hey, create a presentation for this customer. Done. Correct with the nuances of that particular what the customers want to hear and so forth. Stuff that takes literally days and weeks can happen in minutes, which is good because, in my opinion, how much time you waste on proposals. That's one startup that I really like to track them. The other one is Langchain. Langchain is basically this kind of infrastructure technology play. Basically, it's like the React of AI development, if you want. So React is an open source development toolkit for the front end of application, mainly web applications, used by many developers. It's a Facebook open source kind of free technology. Langchain is basically trying to give developers the tools they need to build AI-based apps, LLM-based apps specifically, with consistency and across various LLMs and all the stuff you need, which is great because you can start seeing this maturation of the technology stack for AI native applications. And it's nice to see a nerdy kind of infrastructure lab company that's emerging recently. So I've been tracking those two, and I've been, I think they give you good examples of the type of businesses that are going to break out of the toys, so to speak, the toys app, and become real businesses. What's your take?
It's these kinds of initiatives that are going to really start to bring standards, bring people a way to do things. Glean's, focusing on this RAG, taking models and those dealing with those edge cases and making sure it is usable, it's going to be reliable and secure. And so this is the discussions we were even having on Tuesday night, here in Australia around how that's going to work. Those problems are going to be solved, and I think they'll happen quicker than most people even realize.
Quick one, last one. Google Reddit announced a partnership. So for the record, Reddit, I think, is one of those sites that everyone is training on their data, their LLMs. And then once you train on it, you don't really need it anymore. So a new partnership to get the data, it's besides making some headlines, I think it's maybe preparing for Reddit IPO. Reddit is preparing for an IPO. So you're going to hear a steady stream of good news about Reddit. Okay, great. And one of the news is that they're signing a content deal with Google. Now, I think it's more like about content discovery versus an AI, which is, so it's the old, in other words, I'm trying to say is that this sounds to me like old business model, old internet business model versus an AI future business model, but I could be wrong. So it raised an eyebrow, and I was trying to think through that.
I think the bigger eyebrow is not that. I think the bigger eyebrow is Tumblr and WordPress, who are, they're reportedly going to be giving their data to OpenAI and Midjourney for training.
What's in it for them? What are they getting in return of that data?
I'm sure they're getting paid to do it, or some partnerships around that. So, it's not clear to me exactly what the commercial arrangements are around that. They'll obviously have to allow opt-out, and the way human nature is and psychology is, most people don't opt out the defaults. So I think there's a play going on for getting more data and training on, and being able to be more, the models being able to, ingest things on an ongoing basis as well, because that data is powerful.
But is it? I don't know. So I don't know. So 20 years ago, there's been, a whole lot of news about publisher and news companies, paper news companies, doing deals with Google and Facebook and trying to give them access, not give them access. They're trying to monetize their readership. They have like a whole business model that's basically been disrupted. And it kind of have similar, it feels the same. It feels a little bit like, oh, we had a content business that's based on traffic and ads. And now the AI is the next thing, and we're trying to do a deal with it raises more questions, and I don't have the answer, so I'm just curious what's going on.
Well, I think that the way the article talks about it is really around that they have a big opportunity, a lucrative opportunity and they're really treading water, so they get more revenue through this. That's the bottom line. How do they make more money?
It's like Google promising they will give traffic to newspapers. We saw where that ended. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe on this is a good note to finish the show. If you want to support us, of course, do the like, subscribe, but also we want to hear from you what companies you think are doing interesting stuff and what do you think we should cover.
All right, look, that's This Week in AI. See you next week, Joel.
Bye-bye.
Bye.